flows of music are forêt in its essence. Oh no, it's not the real forêt. It's a made-up forêt by me on the moment, on the spot. It's ephemeral moments that I share with you. His music is not only, as Mademoiselle Gervais used to say, a composer, it was a country in which you live in a daydream, I assume. Or perhaps even really so, where you have continuous voice leadings, where you have melodic basses, where you have combination of modal with tonal, where you have suspensions and 4/3 church style cadences with suspensions. And always extracting sounds from held sounds, who all of them they live in their own individual lanes, and they mingle without a necessity for a culmination point. The art of delaying the resolutions, not seeking for a climax, chromaticisms but not completely. Minor, major, not really either, but more major. Of course, sometimes you have to go to that legal cadence. And the beautifully combined voices into a cadential chordal progression that it's only the beautiful, coincidental, well-behaved voice leadings. Each voice gives birth to another one. Each voice, each line. It was the musical world universe of Mademoiselle Boulanger. Oh, I wish so much that you have met her. Feared and inspirational, but not only and not always. Enthusing and captivatingly making you look forward to these moments where next to her you felt for an ephemeral moment that you become a little more intelligent, perhaps a little more clairvoyant, to a certain extent a little a better person. Not that she was a saint or claimed to be one. And of course at her canonic age all of us were children around her in a certain aspect of things, but she didn't have this condescendence. She had respect for all of us, even me as a child. There was a vague shadow of a promise of anything, if anything, but preparing lessons with such attention for each of her students, me included, obviously, and always to marvel with the beauties to discover of various composers. It wasn't the composers or the styles or the centuries or the chronology or the aesthetics, or perhaps it was, but it wasn't meant or said, or it was all about marvelment in front of the voice leadings, really. Would it be medieval, Renaissance, classical, romantic, neoclassical, post-tonal? It was all about the essence. Not only the reminiscence of having been a schoolmate with Forêt's Ravel student, Debussy and Lily, her sister, and Poulenc and Bernac and Lessis and enfin. No, she was not. Never using familiarity, recalling them as if old buddies, since they're all dead at the point where she was telling us. She would talk to us about their music, their art, their work, their peculiarity in their articulation of their melodic, harmonic, modal sense. It was all about the timelessness of their work rather than themselves, regardless that she knew them, worked with them, appreciated them, had a personal interaction with these people who inevitably, even at our time, or when I was young in the 70s, early 70s in Paris, they were legends already. Of course, Bernstein and Rostropovich were still alive and coming to her apartment. But I speak about Forêt, Ravel, Debussy, Poulenc. But I don't speak of them, as she didn't speak of them. She spoke of specific works of Stravinsky, specific works of Poulenc, specific works of Xenakis, specific works of Beethoven. It was the works in terms of what they mean to, in a way, humanity or society, or I say that. She didn't use such grandiloquence. I guess she would have found that probably exaggerated. It was marvelous to know her because no matter how great and elevated spiritually she was, with quotations of Bergson and of Shakespeare and of Paul Valéry and Saint John Perse and all her inner pantheon. He was all about what are we writing, what are we imagining, students of hers. He wasn't about her, he wasn't about them, he was about their works and about our works. All the weaknesses in the works. I personally have carried from all these years the capacity of tender curiosity and criticism for even transmissions between sections. Bridges call them, transitions call them, fragmentations call them, thematic evolution and variations, and anything you want to call analytically, the thought processes of a composer connecting dots between melodic, motivic, thematic, leitmotif or idée fixe. That freedom that she gave me to think outside of the box, I apply with a lot of discernment, but spontaneity with all the works that I'm working on, teaching of, transposing, transcribing, retelling, mentioning. It was not being critical, no. It was about prepare yourself to love, and if you don't understand, then try again by thinking you didn't understand, rather you didn't like. That's what she used to tell me. Be unforgiving with yourself while tolerant with the others. I wasn't a saint to be able to do that, but I applied myself. I don't know how often I managed. My own students might say if I managed. But I also respected my students. I think the word respect is the real meaning in this story of transmission. Probably Gabrielle Fauré respected very much young Mademoiselle Boulanger, Nadia, and obviously perhaps she respected because she believed in the Creator's miracles, and she considered the talent of students of hers to be a God-given Dieu donné. What an interesting coincidence of names with her alter ego, Annette Dieu donné, God-given. I also have so many memories with these Mademoiselles, Dieudonné and Boulanger, and by osmosis, the young Lily sister, forever younger. But when I recall the teaching of Mademoiselle Boulanger, the attention span, the importance to the form compared to the thematic meaning, chosen note, voice leading, inner voice's beauty that doesn't have to be displayed but has to be always there. Respect for the works, respect for the work that we do into the service of the works. I've met a lot of teachers who are very scary, or who wanted to be feared only or a lot, because of the tradition they carry and because they had a condescendence towards everybody else. Mademoiselle Boulanger was never like that, really, at least when I knew her. I only can speak of my experience with her, and I only knew her a percentage of her long life. I think that she enjoyed very much combining the expectation of her students to be good craftsmen, as well as grammarian of the music they serve or create or perform, as well as to search in every musical phrase they play, they write, they compose, they project, they intend the spiritual uplifting, always, at all levels, not just only, but also. At least I felt that. It wasn't all verbalized by her in ex cathedra way. She was very subtle, very intense, very long in her pregnant rests between words. Very patient with progress, very impatient with lack of attention, and very rewarding people's effort, honest, earnest effort. Would it be to play a complicated, for a non-pianist perhaps, chromatic sequence through the keyboard, modulating and announcing in which keys they go, keys, tonalities I mean, yeah. Make us feel like we are misfits, under-expected, but placing in us a lot of her hopes. Not encouraging, rather discouraging, but always that little dosage of hope that was embedded in a innuendo, rather. It was so marvelous, especially for me because I was a child, then I was a teenager, then I was a little young oldie, which I was, I guess, at birth. But to be around and surrounded by all generations of American students mostly, coming by, leaving, as before internet and all kinds of social media. So it was easy to lose track of who goes where. After the intense classes that we attended on Wednesdays and Saturdays, or that we participated in, there was these meetings among us in the cafe across of her apartment. We were trying to make sense of all what she said, since she didn't allow us to record. Besides, we didn't have equipment in those days. Everything was so complex and difficult to carry. But it was all about trying to remember what she meant, what she said, what she quoted, who she quoted, what she meant by this example or that example, and where can we find that to document ourselves share our mishaps with Professor Mademoiselle Dieudonné, Rue Ravignan, who was really our good, I would say, fairy. The human quality that Mademoiselle Boulanger, in a way, perhaps the way she was brought up was so strict, most likely. I think Mademoiselle Dieudonné was the reassuring aspect of Mademoiselle Boulanger, for us tetanized to disappoint her and therefore ourselves for what we were seeking. Oh, we knew we couldn't be good. We could just try not to disappoint her and ourselves weekly with this exercise or that assignment. Not that Mademoiselle Dieudonné gave us the answers, it's just that she made Mademoiselle Boulanger's enigmatic quotations and innuendos and philosophical, spiritual upliftings a little more bearable, down to earth. Not that she was that close to earth. I didn't want to think anybody who hears this to believe that I have nothing but admiration for her and immense affection. I think all students who have been with Mademoiselle Dieudonné owe her affection. In a way, we don't have to recall her, Mademoiselle Boulanger. I mean, she is who we are, or who we became after we studied with her. And that was her goal, for us to become who we had to become, regardless how much we achieved that by itself. Let's be desired for. But the general idea is that, in fact, whatever we became is in fact the tribute to her. But it's good to recall her for herself from the memories of 4 decades ago, or 5 almost.